this is Lee White with Royal Realty. You guys a licensed inspector for septic tanks? Okay, I've got a client who's running almost the end of the wire. He didn't know he needed a licensed person, and he's had his tank pumped, here a week or so ago. It's not his main house, but he needs an inspection done as soon as, well, if you can do something Monday or Tuesday of next week. Well, I know it is. Like I said, he didn't know, even if you couldn't do it till Wednesday, you know, if you could work him in. Like I said, he's getting, all right. He lives in Madison, lives in Syria, up near Graves Mountain Lodge. And he's got a riser on his septic tank. So I don't know whether that'll make it any easier for you or not, but. No, he just inspected the tank. What he didn't wait for me to get it lined up, so he called people on his own. And he called a guy that was not a licensed inspector, he just pumped it. And then he called Stillwell and told Stillwell asked him if he wanted a septic tank checked. He said, no, that's already been done. So they did the rest of it. They uncovered the distribution box and everything was fine there. So they didn't, but they didn't do the tank. So, yeah, just look at the septic tank and see if it looks, you know, passable. No, it was pumped 2 weeks ago. So he's only there generally a couple of days a week. He's got his main house in Northern Virginia. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I don't know what the status is. He had it pumped a couple of weeks ago, so it's probably not even full. He's just there. He's married, but he and his wife, she doesn't come down that much, and he comes down and brings his dogs with him. So it's I do too. And, but. I don't know, he may be, but, what do you, okay, I'll, okay, Wednesday the 5th. And what time do you think you can get that? So he's in the process of moving things back and forth to storage. And, so you 10:30 to 11 o'clock on Wednesday the 5th. Okay. Let me give, well, he has a riser on it, so, you know, he didn't. Okay, all right. And I don't know, I imagine it's plastic. The house is about 11 years old. Yeah, I don't think it's, you know, concrete or anything. All right, well, I will, let him know. Let me give you his contact information in case you want to call him, because the direction's a little difficult to get there. And, oh, okay. All right, will do. Are you Mr. Brown? Okay, all right, thank you, sir, and I will get back to you, tomorrow morning. All right, sounds good. Thank you very much. Okay, you too.
Me?
Yes.
They must have left the doors closed last night.
Hey, Peggy.
Because it was pretty intense.
Hi.
Okay. You're getting rewarded for coming to class this morning.
Oh, I am.
I got a call on my voicemail last night at 6 o'clock from a Long and Foster agent, commercial agent in Northern Virginia. She has a client that wants to see 3859 Shores Road in Palmyra.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you take this number down?
Okay.
I couldn't catch her name, so when you call, just say, hi, I'm Lee Wyatt, Michael Guthrie asked me to call you. 703 625 6565. And she's a Long and Foster agent, so I'm sure she's, gonna ask for a referral fee, but Long and Foster in Northern Virginia, I think she's a commercial agent.
Okay.
And her client's interested in 3859 Shores Road. Early bird.
There you go. Well, I'm going to Lombardi plant.
What's that?
I operate on the Lombardi plant,
What's that?
15 minutes before.
Oh, yeah.
But I was a little earlier than that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Anyway, hopefully that'll turn into something.
Good, thank you. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
You want a 25% referral?
No, it's not for me, she's gonna ask for it,
Oh, okay.
because she's a Long and Foster agent, so she'll probably ask for a referral.
Okay, good. Thanks.
He's here.
Yes, this is Lee White with Realty. Michael Guthrie just asked me to give you a call regarding, someone you have wanted to refer, down here that was looking, wants to look at a property at 3859 Shores Road in Palmyra. I work out of the Zion Crossroads office, so that's right in my neighborhood. If you would you give me a call at your convenience, 540-718-3065. That's Lee Wyatt, 540-718-3065. I will be tied up in appointments until about 12. So if you can give me a call anytime after that at your convenience, I'll appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye. Hey, how you doing?
Going?
I'm Lee White.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
And you out working out of Edmond?
Yes, sir, we're out here.
Oh, okay.
Started here, about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good.
Yes, sir, so, worked up in Blackberry, for about a little over a year. And, we moved here, me and my wife, and, we just started, met Michael, and, started here 2 weeks ago.
Oh, great. Hey, glad to hear. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, looks like it.
Dropping like flies.
Hello? Hey, Bill, just getting ready to leave you a message. I talked to, Mr. Brown with Brown and Son Septic Service at Colfax. And he said he could pump your, and inspect your tank, inspect your tank on Wednesday the fifth, between 10:30 and 11 a.m. All right, and he said, I wanted to know how much water was in it, and I said, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and he said, well, it has to have water in it. And I told him it had a rise, and he said, you needed to cut your faucets on and unwater until your tank got up, and you can't inspect it until it has water in it. So you take your, yeah, pretty much full. And he said to take the top off, and since it's got a rise, you can look down there and see how much water's coming in. But if you want, I can give you his number, and you can call him and discuss it with him, to make sure there may be some line in there somewhere. But, you know, that I need to have it built at that point. And so it might not have to go all the way up, but I'd rather you talk to him because he said there's no way he could inspect it if the water level was too low. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Brown is with Brown and Son Septic Service in Colfax. And the number is 540-399-1374. He said between 10:30 and 11, Wednesday the 5th. And, I don't know whether he's gonna try to get there with, GPS or not, but I'll give him instructions, but when you talk to him, you may want to give him instructions as well. Okay, and, I haven't had a chance to call Mark yet. I'll find out from Mark, to get some definite dates, you know, to come up to, check out the well and termites. All right. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Yes, Bill? Lee White, Royal Wheeler Realty, how are you today? Good. Just, got your request that you wanted some information on the property, in Gordonsville. Do they allow fences? Let me check. I'm, getting ready to walk into a meeting. I don't have the information, accessible, but I will check and get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thank you.
Here we are.
I got time to run in the restroom.
Yeah, you do. And obviously, I'm going to wait a couple minutes. We've got several people. Julie Holbrook just called, said she was coming. So Mark Kelly usually is about 10 minutes late. Logan's coming now. No, you're all right.
Okay.
I wasn't scrambling you there. So let's see.
Alex was talking, I said, Alex, I can go.
Logan, you've met Zach before, right?
Yeah.
It was a little bit of confusion because at one time during my vacation, I sent something out that might have said 10. Everything else has said 9:30.
Well, and one came through and I had to double check with Debbie because she put 12. And I said, are you sure you mean December? And she's.
Oh, right, I said
No.
12:29, yeah. So anyway, the good news is why we're gonna do this, we're gonna take some time initially just for each person to kind of do some stuff on their own. So if anybody does come in late, they won't have missed the sort of substance part, they'll have missed the cerebral part. But did you get a hold of one of those folks as far as doing an open?
I reached out to, Michelle. She messaged back, and then I messaged her, but I haven't heard anything back.
Okay. And then Mike Peters would be.
Yeah, I looked for Whippoorwill, and didn't, nothing like it said came up active or anything.
Yeah, he's got that big, kind of call it salt box. Introduce myself. I'm Logan Playboy.
I'm Lee White.
Nice to meet
What
you.
else did you have?
Right here.
Oh, I did, okay.
Yes, sir. Been here since May.
I'm gonna move up here, I won't sit back here. Act like I've got some kind of play. if I get between you all.
Not at all.
Need separated.
Not at all.
Jackie, you may be right, I don't see it. Yeah, I was looking into it, but, you know, he's held it open. Wasn't it with the
Like
will?
2 weekends ago, I
Yeah.
think. Didn't expire or anything, did it?
I don't know.
If you cancel it or go through it.
It wasn't yesterday, it expired, so.
All right.
I left that agent a message.
Great.
Check on the pending?
I didn't look into that.
I'm gonna go look real quick, because we got a couple minutes.
Maybe you're in contract.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
So how long have you been?
May.
May.
My father was in it for over 50 years here in Charlottesville, and it's something I always wanted to do. So, time came, and here I
You
am.
made a switch.
I did.
Sure.
In your downtown office?
No, I'm out in Zion Crossroads.
Oh, okay. That's right.
I've been to a couple of these things touching on the same thing. I just wanted to see if anything had changed.
I've never really done a business plan before, so I'm all in.
Well, it's a good roadmap.
Yeah. You know, Zach, you know who else you might check with, Dan Conquest? He has, I think, those villas out at Glenmore.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed like the past couple of weekends, not last weekend, but the weekend before, he has like, there's Ryan homes, and he had like 3 or 4 of them open, whether he has somebody in each one, or Ryan's helping him, or maybe, I don't know, you might just check with him.
Okay, you got one, I appreciate that. Do you guys have, what's on Monday or something?
I'm not sure, I didn't come half hour early for the blitz.
Yeah.
I think Julie was here, but then we had the baby.
We were coming back from, Roanoke area, we get called, there was an accident about 2 miles ahead of us. We didn't move for 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
It was on Monday morning,
Oh,
tried to come back from, Thanksgiving weekend. Got the trailer flipped over, so we were just sitting there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Always something on that road, isn't
It is.
Yeah, I can't find it. So maybe it withdrew or expired or whatever. But when we get done, let's look through, see if we figure out anything else. So let's go ahead and get started. There are other people that are on the list that said they're coming. In fact, Julie just called in this morning and said she was coming. So, we'll go ahead and get started, and we're live streaming it so people can catch up. And if you are live streaming it, folks, you're not live streaming. If you're watching the recording from the YouTube, fast forward 10 minutes because there's 10 minutes of nothingness. Some very, exciting conversation in those 10 minutes. But fast forward to 10 minutes and you'll be right with us. So what we're going to do is we're talking about business plan this morning. And if you turn to the first page where it says down, dirty, and effective business planning exercise. Any of you taken classes from Leroy Hauser before? If you get a chance, he's awesome. He does a lot of the GRI teaching. We've brought him in as
Local?
Richmond, but we brought him in as a company to do stuff for us. He's done business for Carr will bring him in from time to time. Ednam Title has brought him in to do some stuff. He's really good. I kid when I'm teaching GRI. I kid about the fact that I'm like John the Baptist as it relates to Leroy, because I'll teach a class in preparation for them to get the big guy. And I've known Leroy since when I took GRI so I've known him 35 years. He was teaching GRI back then. He does a great job. He's a full-time trainer. And anyway, as you turn the first page and you see the down, dirty, and effective business planning exercise, we're going to take a couple of things out of his playbook and then move into more of my stuff, Buffini stuff, just things that I've put together to hopefully make this a time that will work for you guys. So if you turn to the first page, you see 3 main objectives. First objective is to help you determine what you want in your personal and business life. And the key there is personal. Because quite honestly, we think about business planning in regards to our business. How much money we want to make, how many sales do we want, how many listings do we want versus working with buyers. And all that's really good. But if anything you learned in regards to working with wheelers, we really want it to be a balanced scenario. We want it to be you really understanding the things that you're trying to accomplish, because I think that they go hand in hand. It's sort of like when we talk about what is your why. Answering that question, what is your why? Why do I get it? Why do I have a real estate license? Why is this what I want to be doing? How am I using this to impact other aspects of life? And so for me, obviously, I'm the CEO, I'm a broker, Roy Wheeler. I've been here 13 years, and I work really hard at doing the best job I can, but it's not my why. My why is to serve you all. My why is to serve others. My why is to do whatever I can to put myself in a position where I have a servant heart. And, from way back, sort of my motto was, what positive difference am I going to make in the world today? I had that written in several places. It just reminded me, whether it be getting up in the morning and looking at myself in the mirror, whether it was getting in my car so I didn't cut somebody off, whatever, at my desk on my phone. What positive difference am I going to make in the world today? Because if I can do that, then at the end of the day, I can feel good about who I am and what I'm doing. And when I think about what positive difference am I making in the world today, that's why I love the real estate business. The real estate business has given me an incredible opportunity to do a lot of different things that I couldn't have done if I'd entered a job that I had to go and sit at the desk at 8 o'clock and leave at 5 o'clock. And I had no flexibility other than lunch. Anybody that watches me, I work really, really hard. And I put a lot of time into it, but my really, really hard and putting a lot of time in can be balanced, can be flexible. And so, yesterday, a good example, I'll get back from vacation and came into the office, did a bunch of paperwork early, had Bill Tucker in here at 10 o'clock doing legal tips, had Jerry Miller Jerry Miller coming in and talking about this online marketing thing. If you didn't see that, good morning, sir. Yeah, you're good. We just started. There was one email that said 10. Everything else that said 9:30. But I knew that there would be some.
Yeah, I looked this morning, it said 10. What I saw. I thought it was
I apologize.
9:34.
No. We waited 10 minutes because we knew that there was going to be some of that, and some of the first things I'm going to do are just going to be you doing some things. So anybody that comes in at 10 won't have missed the substance. I knew there was a little bit of confusion. But anyway, so Bill Tucker was in here at 10. Jerry Miller, if you did not come to Jerry Miller's thing yesterday, I really encourage you to click on the link that Chris sent out yesterday. It's a fabulous thing. We're looking at partnering with I Love Seville and being the real estate partner for that online entity, which is pretty amazing. So if you missed that, Chris sent the link out to that class yesterday. So anyway, Bill Tucker at 10, Jerry Miller 11, went from there to a lunch meeting with some UVA coaches that I meet with on a regular basis. Got done with that, came back to the office, went over to the radio show, recorded a couple radio shows for the next couple of weeks, came back at 3, did some other stuff, and at 4, wandered over to Prospect Avenue and hung out with some 5th to 8th graders that I met and worked with on Wednesday afternoons. Took a big hit yesterday. I was telling Chris that I was playing capture the flag with these kids, and we tried to jailbreak, and I went one way and we got down this hill, and a kid tagged me, not hard, but tagged me like he's supposed to. And man, I went down and just creamed my whole left side. So my upper rib cage this morning is pretty sore. And Dottie was like, well, maybe I not do that anymore. Well, maybe not. And then so left there at 5:30, went over to church, met with the worship leader because I'm leading worship on Sunday in both services. And then, went home and had dinner and did some stuff in regards to, social media and whatever. The point being is, it was a long day and doing a bunch of different things, but there are all sorts of different things that are going on in that, and it wasn't all work related. However, and this is the important part to understand, everything you do can make a difference in regards to your real estate business. Everything you do, people can see you as a realtor if you do it properly. Not that you're up there, unabashedly saying, I'm a realtor, I want you to refer business to me, or whatever, but the things that you're doing, if you do them well, you're going to build rapport with people, you're going to gain credibility with people because of the way that you do things. You're going to show those people you care, and they're going to say, that's the kind of person I want to do business with. The key is that we need to make sure they know that we're in the real estate business. And that's what we heard yesterday during the Jerry Miller thing at 11. Carolyn Revercombe was talking about when she was doing TV ads with Jim McVeigh. And people would say, I saw you on TV. But then when she said, well, did you see what the message was? And they said, no, I just saw you on TV. They had no idea she was in the real estate business. Even though her TV ad with Jim was on all the time, on prime time and news and those kind of things. And the point being is that what we're doing, we have to, people tritely talk about not being a secret agent, right? There's no reason to keep what you do quiet. You want people to know what you do, but again, you can do it in a way that doesn't have to come across, hardcore and that kind of thing. But the point I'm making is, as we start out on this morning, what I want you to be spending time with is thinking about, one, what is your why? Why am I doing this? What am I trying to impact on it? What positive difference am I making in the world today? And so as you, create a business plan, create a strategy for making 2019 a successful year, you want it to be successful, not just business-wise, but personally as well. And so when you turn that first page, you see the three main objectives of the course. Help you determine what you want in your personal business life. To provide you with a system to help you determine your sales and listing goals so that you can achieve number 1. And to provide you with the sources of business sufficient to accomplish number 2. So we're going to talk about what do we want in our personal business life. We're going to provide a system, and it won't be a surprise to you because it's what I'm sharing with you all the time about the different things that you should be doing to build your business, to do lead generation, have it coming from a lot of different, streams, if you will, and then, provide you with the sources of business sufficient to accomplish number two. So if you turn in your packet and you just go back several pages, and let me see where I put it in here. You'll come to this page. You'll come to this page right here, and it's a page that it's got something that's signed by Brian. Everybody there? It's about 2/3 of the way back. Okay? And what I want you to do, obviously, on this first page where it says goals 2018, we're obviously talking about goals for 2019. I'm not asking you to figure out what you're going to do for the next 2 weeks. So that obviously was 2019, but we turn back to this next page. And what I want you to do for the next, 10 or so minutes is I've made a copy of something that I got at Masterminds. And you don't have to do all of these. I did do all a bunch of different pages, right? But this is something I got from Masterminds last summer in San Diego from Brian. And as you know, Brian's a huge, goal-setting person. He talks about the next 10 days. He talks about the next 30 days. He talks about the next 10 days, next year, next 5 years. And what I want you to do is you think about the goals for 2019, which you see on that second page. I want you to go to the sample bucket list, these sample bucket list pages. And I want you to just spend some time over the next 10 or 15 minutes and writing some things down that jump out at you. And the reason I'm doing this is not just because I'm trying to fill time. What I'm trying to do is to get you for 10 or 15 minutes just to think about 2019 and to think about the things that you would like to accomplish in your life, because what's going to happen is, hopefully, is your brain is going to go into that mode of thinking, and it's not going to be completed, but hopefully it's going to give you some things and some thoughts that maybe you haven't had time to really gather. And what's going to happen, I hope, is after we do this and we go into the nitty gritty of this, you'll start seeing how they're going to come into play. You're going to say, this is what I want to do. Oh, I can do this to make this happen. Oh, I'd like this happen. Oh, I can do this to make this happen. And at the end, ultimately, my hope is that you will have a template to go back on your own and spend some more time on it and really create what it is you want to see happen in 2019. And then the last page, which people who have been with the company a long time, the last page when we get there in here is the page that I need to get back at some point in regards to what you think your volume is going to be, how many listings are you going to take, how many buyer control sales. And we'll go over that later. But just over the next 10 or 15 minutes, and if you're tuning in, live streaming, folks, hopefully Chris has sent the handout to you. We're going to this page where it talks about sample bucket list. And we're just going to spend 10 or 15 minutes about where I want to go, what I want to do, things I'd like to achieve. And it gives you some samples. I don't know how many of you are going to say get my pilot's license, but I know I'm not. I'm not going to say I'm going to run a marathon because I can't even run down the hill playing capture the flag anymore. But start a nonprofit, maybe, or help some people in nonprofit, maybe. Anyway, point being is just for the next 10 or 15 minutes, just think about some of these things and use these different examples to kind of get you started. So on your way. It's 5 of 10, and we'll do this till about 10 after 10.
Just to be clear, Mike.
Sure.
Just this page.
Yeah, well, I gave you several pages,
Yeah, if you want all.
but no, whatever, I gave you several pages just so you, as it goes, if you need more, it's great. But I'm not going to look at these. These are just for you.
Yeah, gotcha. But in theory, you could finish all of the pages.
You could, yeah. Thinking about goals. And that's those are the issues. Couple more minutes. Okay, obviously, this is an ongoing thing. I can tell you that when I do this, once I start writing these things down, I kind of have them in my head. They just sort of expand, and some things get checked off, other things, don't happen. But for the most part, because they're there, what's really interesting about it is I really believe that the things that you wrote down here, even if you don't do anything else, if you looked at this time next year, you're going to see that it pointed you in your mind in a direction that caused you to do some of those things, even though you never thought about them again. I can tell you, personally, that's happened to me. I've written down goals that I wanted to accomplish, and then, halfway through the year or whatever, get distracted, whatever, and forget about it, and then find it later and realize that, oh my gosh, I did run a 10 miler, or I did such and such, whatever, because I just had gotten myself headed in a direction. And you know, kind of one thing leads to another. And so what I really want to do is just spend a little bit of time doing this, just to kind of get your mind, you know, moving in that direction, so that as you start thinking about the rest of this, you can see how it all comes together. Each piece has a place. And you know, you think about a puzzle or whatever. And I don't know if this is going to make any sense at all. But while I was gone on Thanksgiving, I got to play a fair amount of golf. Some of it really well, some of it really bad. And as I was thinking about going to bed, about where your thoughts go, as I was thinking about, you know, that I was going to be teaching business planning and things like that. And I haven't fleshed this out yet, but I think it's a pretty good analogy. That when I'm playing golf and I'm trusting the fact that what I've learned, what I've been coached, what I've been taught, when I'm trusting that if I will just do that, if I will just take that particular swing or take that, you know, situation, that I can play pretty well. But where the problem comes in is whether I hit it well and it didn't go where I wanted to go, or I didn't hit it well and it goes into a place that I'm not used to being. If I haven't practiced that or prepared for that, then I'm cooked. And a classic example for me is that
Get a freaking job, will you?
I play pretty well, but I'm not a very good sand trapper. And I keep on saying to myself, I need to take a lesson and really learn how to get out of the sand, whether it's from far away or close up. I need somebody who knows what they're doing, whether it's Andy Comer or Carl over at Anytime Golf or wherever. Somebody's got to teach me what to do. And I get in those traps and I get so frustrated. I say, I need to take a lesson, but you know what I never do? I never take the lesson. I never make the time after I'm done to go find somebody and take the lesson and then practice it, right? And I think there is some parallels here as it relates to our business. That we might have some really good abilities. There's certain things that we do really well or whatever, but when if it goes into a place that we haven't learned, or if we've learned it, we haven't practiced it, we find ourselves not confident, and so maybe we don't handle it the way, or we get into a place and we say, oh gosh, I don't know how to handle that, so I'm just not going to deal with it. And so the point being is that as you think about your business plan, what you want to do is look at your abilities, look at your skills, and certainly, you know, develop your plan around those, but also put yourself in a place where if there's some places where you're looking and you're saying, you know what, I need to be better at this. I can remember using Julie as an example from a couple of years ago. Julie said, I want to raise my average price. That was a goal that she had, was that she wanted to raise up the average sales price of her business. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that has happened over the couple of years. Maybe not to where you want it to be, but you've certainly, that goal was in your mind, you've done some things, and you're now, your average sales price is higher. Is that fair? Yeah. So that's just an example of, well, maybe I'm not comfortable in the higher price range. Well, what am I going to do to make myself more comfortable in those price ranges? And it may be, asking somebody you could hold open houses in that price range. So let's say you're used to the 250, 350 price range, and you'd like to be in the 550 to 750 price range. That may not be a great example because that market's not doing that great right now, but let's just assume that it is. So you make a decision that once a month, you're going to hold an open house in that 550 to 750 price range. And in the midst of that, you're going to go around and you're going to preview so that you really know that market. So when you're in that open house and people come in, yes, you may not have sold many in that price range, but you're going to know that market as well as anybody because you took that open house and made it a reason for spending time over a week or so to go out and look at prices in those price ranges that you think are going to compete with that open house. And what you're going to find is slowly but surely, you're going to feel very confident that you know what is the best price, what the best house is out there right now in that price range. And you know that you can talk about it and that you can do that. Farms and estates, another great example. Most of us in here, other than maybe Lee, has not had a lot of experience in farms and estates. You say, I'd like to I'd like to be able to sell farms. I'd like to be able to sell houses in Farmington. That doesn't happen overnight. But what you can do is you can kind of tag along with somebody and say, hey, I see that you've got a listing over on Windsor in Farmington. When you hold it open, could I just come and be a fly on the wall and watch you talk to people about this price range? Or, hey, Lee, I know that you work with land and things like that. Next time you've got a buyer, can I just come with you and just sit in the car and watch you do it? Watch you walk the property, the boundaries, that kind of thing. Listen to the things that you talk about in regards to, you might need a farm manager, or you need to know about rollback taxes, whatever the case may be. The point being is, if that is something you want to do, don't think that you can't do it, but create a plan to get there. I believe that knowledge creates confidence. Confidence creates naturalness. And when naturalness happens, you can build rapport, you can gain credibility, you can show people you care. And so, yeah, that's way out there. And maybe it's something that's going to be 2 or 3 years out there. But if that's a goal that you have, then put it into your plan. That's something that I'm doing during this year is pointing me toward what's next. Okay? Some of you that follow me on Facebook, I promised you I was going to do this. Caitlin Mancini posted something on Facebook the other day about the 8 things to quit in 2019. I know Caroline responded to it. I'm not going to say what she responded to, but
It's okay.
yeah.
I'm an open book.
There you go. There you go. But just for the fun of it, 8 things to quit in 2019, right? Trying to please everyone. Now that doesn't mean you're not supposed to be servant-hearted. That doesn't mean you're not supposed to be caring and helping people, but it does mean that you don't have to do everything for everybody, right? And it does mean that you need to know what your why is. You need to know what your north is. And you need to move in that direction, even though some people are going to try to knock you off of that path. I have friends that I'm trying to communicate a particular thing as it relates to social media and things like that, and they'll try to knock me off the path by trying to get me into some sort of conversation. So there was an example during the elections. I posted something that had nothing to do with about the election. It had to do about caring for people and being compassionate and whatever. And one of my friends from high school, who lives here in Charlottesville now, said, yeah, and as soon as the election's over, we'll have the right kind of people who are going to care and be compassionate. Vote Democrat. That was her response. Now, I don't care what you voted. Sometimes I vote Democrat, sometimes I vote Republican. I consider myself a moderate independent, is what I call myself. But I said to her, this has nothing to do with the election. Why are you trying to make it into the election? It had nothing to do with that. So quit trying to please everybody. Quit fearing change. Change is good. Change can be good if it's planned. And that's the key in regards to what we're talking about here is planning your change, putting yourself in a different situation, a better situation for what you're trying to do. Quit living in the past. Right? My friend Steve Garland, who's a wrestling coach, their battle cry this year on the wrestling team is today is the day. And he talks about thinking about the past just makes you, regret and that kind of thing. And it causes you to not be in the present. And thinking about the future and the fears and things like that can cause you to think about, well, what if this or what if that? You can't deal with what if this or what if that, but you can deal with today. And so don't fear change, but plan it. It's really, really important. And don't live in the past. Quit overthinking. That's a really good one here in our industry. Well, as soon as I learn this, then I'll do this. Or as soon as I've seen every house in Western Albemarle, then I'll feel good about showing property. Or as soon as blah, blah, blah. As soon as I learn to contract backward and forward, whatever. All those things are things you should do, but that doesn't mean you can't go out there tomorrow and show property. And I think sometimes we just get caught up in the fact that I'm not ready to do it. And as my dad would say, if you think you're not ready, you're never going to be ready. Some of it is just taking that first step. Taking that first step and just moving forward. And know that you've got people behind you. That's an important thing here at Roy Wheeler is that if you've got somebody to go look at property with, go show property. And if the hair stands up on the back of everybody's neck and this is the house they want to buy, and all of a sudden you go, I don't know how to do this. Well, there are people that are going to come help you fill in the blanks and make that happen. So, quit overthinking. Quit being afraid to be different. You know, think about your niches. And I think Bob's doing a really great job with this. He's thinking about his niches as it relates to the market. And he's not afraid to be different. He's trying to find his place that he can go in and do something differently that nobody else is doing. And if he can do that, then that puts him in a place that other people aren't. We know there are lots of poor. We know there are 1,000 realtors out there, right? And so that, again, you know, fearing things, being afraid to be different. There are 1,000 realtors out. What am I going to do to differentiate myself from the rest of them? That needs to be on our list. What am I going to do this year that's going to differentiate myself from other people? And the point of that being, here's the good news. There may be 1,000 realtors, but there aren't 100 that have done 10 or more deals this year. 90% of the market have not done 10 deals this year. There's a lot of room for success. There's a lot of room for excellence. Because those folks who are down there, you know, this is really crazy, over 50%, one deal or less. So 500 agents, one deal or less. Okay, so don't think about 1,000, maybe think about 500, but really think about the fact that you're only having to compete with 100 maybe, and that's probably overstating it. But the point I'm making is, how am I going to differentiate myself? Example. There are a lot of people that are sending out cards or letters into neighborhoods, right? And you say, well, that person's doing this. What can I do to differentiate myself? Well, what you can do is you can take a neighborhood of 200 and you can divide it by 80, which means in the next 3 months, even with 10 days off, I'm going to go knock on 2 doors in that neighborhood every day. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm Zach Epperly with Roy Wheeler Realty Company. And I just want you to know that I'm specializing in this neighborhood. And if you know of anybody who's thinking about wanting to buy in this neighborhood, or if you hear of anybody that's wanting to sell in this neighborhood, I'd like to be the guy that you call. You'll be getting something coming on a regular basis to remind you of that, but I just wanted you to have a name with a face. I want you to see, you know, nothing different than you know, going back to the election for a minute. A lot of people vote for people because somebody knocked on their door. They took the time to go and meet the people and say, I'm running for this office. I'd love your vote. Same thing. You send a postcard in. It's a great example. January comes up this year, and you do it 2018, what happened in the neighborhood flyer. And you talk about what was on the market, what sold, what didn't sell, prices, that kind of thing. You send that out. And then over the next 2 months, 3 months, you go and knock on every door and say, hey, I hope you got the flyer I sent you about what's going on in the neighborhood. Are there any questions I can answer for you? You're going to differentiate yourself very quickly in that situation, because those people are going to have known you versus, and so every time you send something in there again, it's not cold anymore because they actually have that face-to-face with Zach. And then what does Zach do behind that? Sends them a personal note. Hey, it was really great to meet you today. Thanks for taking the time. If I can ever be of help to you, here are a couple of my cards. Love to help you in whatever way I could, or anybody else you know who's thinking about buying or selling real estate. So again, being afraid to be different. Sacrificing your happiness for others. Quit sacrificing your happiness for others. Now, I'm not sure I totally agree with this one, because I believe that if I'm going to be servant-hearted, then sometimes my happiness isn't first. You know, seeing my wife taken care of, my kids taken care of, being around my grandkids. And I came to a really interesting understanding when I was in Naples this past week, and thinking about the house that we own down there with my sister and her husband, and we're having conversations about, you know, do we buy another house and that kind of thing. And I realized, I said this to Dottie last night, we bought that house 15 years ago. With the understanding at some point I was going to want to spend the winter down there. I don't want to spend the winter down there anymore. Because that would mean I'm a plane flight away from all these grandkids. I don't want to be in a situation 3 months away where I don't see my kids or my grandkids. Now, some people do, and that's fine. I'm not, it just for me personally, that's not what I want. You know, I love going down there and having a place to kind of rest and recharge and stuff, but I don't see myself being someplace else for 2 or 3 months of the year. One, because of my kids and grandkids. Two, because of the things I'm involved in the community. I don't want to, you know, step out of that for 2 or 3 months and just kind of go into neutral. Now that's just me. But my point being is as I figure out my business plan, or where I want to go in the next couple, 3 years, it may be that that house isn't where I need to be. And that's a decision that we'll make. So anyway, sacrifice your happiness for others. I get that in one sense. In another sense, I probably disagree with it. That because my happiness does come from caring for others. And anyway, 7, thinking you're not good enough. I think that's a huge one. You know, be confident. Get yourself trained. Do the things that you need to know, and say, you know what, I am good. I truly believe that a brand new agent who wants to commit themselves to serving the people that they come in contact with, they are better off with that. People are better off with that agent than an experienced agent who just doesn't really care. That they've got other clients and you know, I think you can make a brand new in the business. I think you can make a case as back that you're better off working with me than somebody else because you're my only client. I need you to buy something as much as you need to buy something. I need your house to sell more than you need your house to sell. And I actually used that when I first started in the business. I had an opportunity to compete against a very successful top producing agent. I knew her. She was great reputation. And prepared myself. Again, brand new, but I prepared myself. I had my listing presentation all together. I went through the stuff. And at the end of the day, they said, why should we pick you? This gal, Kathy, from Town and Country has been recommended, blah, blah. So the reason you want to pick me is this. And I turned the page, and there was J.M. and Katie. 3, 4, and 2, 3.5 and 1.5. Standing beside a Regency Realtor sign that had a soul on it. And I said, the reason you want to pick me is because I need to feed these kids. And if I have your listing, I can feed your kids. And I'm going to work my tail off to get it sold so I can feed my kids. And the woman, the mom, said, honey, this is who we're going to work with. True story. You know, I just showed them the picture and said, okay, this may seem like it's guilt. Take it for what it is. But this is why I'm working hard. Because I left a salary job with benefits to go in this real estate business with 19% interest rates. Commission only. And the only way that I pay my bills and I feed my kids is by getting this house sold. And sure enough, we got it sold and blah, blah, blah. So don't think you're not good enough, because you are. And then finally, thinking you have no purpose. And that's why what we just did is so important. You need to understand what your why is. If you can understand your why, then you have purpose. There's no doubt about it. And whatever your why is, there you have a purpose. And now it's about putting myself in a position and succeeding in those places. So anyway, take time with this. Think about it. I just have it someplace on your desk or someplace where you sit when you're at home and just kind of look at it, and you'll be amazed at what other things are going to jump into your head. And you're going to add to it. I'm going to talk more about that. I'll actually jump to that right now. Just if you go farther back in the package, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty stuff. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just want you to have an example of this. It starts here with what is your purpose? The page that says what is your purpose? And this is a talk I gave last spring to about 100 Curry School students in the education school, mostly athletes. The point of this is as you think through your goals, you find the page I'm looking for or showing? It's after those, it's probably near, there you go. Okay, there you go. So what is your purpose? Another way to look at this is what are you building? You can look at this on your own and read through this, but the things that I really want to just hit real quickly is down in the middle of the page, my second point, trust and learn from the significant moments in your life, whether they were positive or negative. Significant moments, they're what complete your life puzzle. Think back in your life and think about the significant things that have happened that have moved you in another direction or caused you to do something differently or whatever. The point of all this is thinking about your purpose is the same thing as what is my why. And then as you turn the page, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, the 6 Ds. When you're thinking about your plan and thinking about who you want to be and where you want your business to go and that kind of thing, these 6 Ds can be on personal stuff and it can be on business stuff. But the 6 Ds are that you dream it. It's the big picture. It can be changed. But But if I can write any story, where would I like to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? You know, I'm dreaming out, what is it that it looks like? Then I'm gonna design it. I'm gonna spend time crafting a roadmap. Once I've, designed it, then I'm gonna begin to develop it. I'm gonna create specific activities that move me down that road. These activities can be long or short term, and we're gonna talk about that. Daily, weekly, monthly, etc. Focus on knowing what is right and doing the right thing will make you a better person. It's about being focused. And again, focus meaning focus on creating unbelievable success every day. And then the next two are the hardest ones. You can dream it, you can develop it, you can design it, but the question is, do you have the desire to really make it happen? And I use the example all the time about the fact that I have this plan that I'm going to get back to 190, and Bob wants to help me with that. I want to get
right here.
Thank you. Is that on the goal? Good. Thank you. But I want to get back. I want to get back to to 190. I can dream about that. I can develop that. I can design it. But if I don't desire, keep my hand out of the peanut M&Ms, or the desire not to exercise, then it's not going to happen. And then beyond that, do I have the discipline? I may have the desire. I may have the desire, but do I have the discipline? In my life, just going back to what I was talking about earlier, my life is filled all day long with stuff. And if I don't find a place to discipline myself to do that exercise, it's not going to happen. If I don't have the time to discipline myself, to put myself in the right frame of mind by having time by myself and reading and praying and those kind of things, it's not going to happen. So I can dream it, I can design it, I can develop it, I can have the desire, but if I don't have this discipline to put it into the schedule, not going to happen. And finally, though, if I do all 5 of those things, then I truly believe that you can accomplish, for lack of a better term, your destiny. And then you can look at the rest of this stuff because it's more personal in nature. But I will say to you, if you look at the last page of this, or 3 pages, I actually created a personal mission statement for my life. And it took me a long time to do it. I kind of put it together, and then slowly but surely I crafted it. But it's on the 3rd page, right above where it talks about recommended books. But anyway, that's my mission statement. That's what I sort of focus in on, or sort of bring myself back to on a regular basis, just to make sure I'm being consistent with what is my why. Why am I living my life the way I'm living it? Am I doing it well? That kind of thing. Again, that's mine. Please understand, I just put it in there as an example for you to spend time with that and to really think about, because I really believe if you can create that personal mission statement, then the business plan will begin to take on, a life of its own. Because, hey, this is who I am, this is who I want to be. How do I make that happen in regards to what I do on a daily basis? And then that leads us back all the way back to the beginning, if you will, where it talks about a down, dirty, and effective business plan, and there's a bunch of blank lines. I think it's the 3rd page in your package. 5 facts. And before I do that, questions on that or thoughts, anything that, for those who've tried to do this before, things that you can say to other people to encourage them that you've seen it work in your life?
Go ahead. Well, I was gonna, you all listen to Darren and Dale, if anybody gets that on a morning basis. It's a leadership deal, it comes every day. But, again, I'm not suggesting he's got any answer. But he had a good one today that I'll share with you.
Please.
He talked about Jerry Seinfeld, the guy, comedian, went up to Jerry Seinfeld and said, how do you become so successful? And Jerry's response was, you're going to write good jokes. And well, how do you do that? And he goes, you got to write every day. And so what his recommendation was to get an annual plan, annual calendar, put it on over your desk, and mark every day you do it. And you got to sit down and write jokes every day, right? And each day you do it, you take your big red magic marker and cross out the day. And then you do your best not to miss a day.
Discipline.
And I thought, when I read discipline, I thought, that is, you gotta have this visual there for you as a reminder every day. So for me, it would be, do I get my 5 calls in, for example?
Yeah.
I can get lost in my own thoughts. And so I'm gonna try that. And I'm not sure, you get an annual plan, calendar, and all that.
Yep. Well, interestingly enough, I've started doing some poetry, which is totally not me, you know, but it's a couple, 3 months ago, I was sitting at the beach and I said, I'm just going to try to do this. And I found out I really liked it. You know, just kind of sitting down and looking at a sunset and thinking about what the sunset is and trying to put it into some sort of poetic stanzas. And then I got into haikus because my friend Caitlin, who's lived with us for the last several years, she loves haikus. And so I've been sending her daily haikus. And it's just, it goes back to what you're saying. It's something that's there, and I find that it gets me thinking about things. And Caitlin, if you don't know, is a dear friend who lived with us for a year and then lived with some other folks and lived with us for the last 2 years while she was going to get ready to go to graduate school. And she has a bad heart. She got had a virus, and it created some real issues. And she thought she was going to match at Johns Hopkins to go do genetic counseling at Johns Hopkins, but she ended up matching at Houston, which she couldn't figure out because it wasn't where she wanted to go. She didn't think they really had thought much of her. And so she was really pretty frustrated because Johns Hopkins would have kept her close to her doctors. Well, long story short, she got down there and her heart started to fail. And they did a procedure and they said, we can't fix it. You need to have a transplant. And so they literally put her in the hospital the next day and said, you're not going to leave here until we have a heart. And this was right before we left for Florida for Thanksgiving, a few days before. Anyway, so I started writing these daily haikus to her, you know, just to try to encourage her and that kind of thing. And interestingly enough, today is what, Thursday? Monday night, heart became available. 20 to 30-year-old person, Caitlin's 31. And again, I'll get back to this in just a second, but the point of all this is that she didn't think she was supposed to be in Houston. She thought Johns Hopkins were away. We didn't think she should be in Houston. All our support group is here. We're talking about getting somebody to pay her to be medevac back here so that she can, and her doctor here in Charlottesville said, you have to have this procedure. Houston is the #1 place to be. One, because they've been doing transplants. They did the first transplant years and years ago, but they've been transplanted forever. Two, Texas is a much bigger state. There are a lot more people in the state. Therefore, there are more hearts that become available. Anyway, heart became available early Tuesday morning. She had the procedure early yesterday morning. She's already, it's unbelievable. She's only got 2 tubes left. They're going to move to ICU, out of ICU today. It's just, now, there are lots of stuff that still happen. But the point being is, and it's just an amazing story that I just want to share. But the real point of this is that I just decided I was going to start doing this poetry into this haiku, and I have this thing on a goal now that I'm going to do a book. Now I'm going to take my own pictures. I haven't told anybody this. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I'm going to take my own pictures, and I'm going to do a book with the pictures and with the haikus and the poetry in the midst of it. Just for myself. I'm sure it'll become a bestseller. But anyway, the goal is, and I guess the reason I'm bringing this up, the goal is to start at 1st of January. And every day, I'm going to begin to do this, along with a secondary book. Some of you follow me on Facebook, the things I post on a daily basis. I now know I have more than 365 of those suckers. And so I'm going to write a devotional for business people. And I'm going to create this. And so on January 1st, I'm going to start taking one of those things that I've done, and I'm going to write whatever else on it. And I'll hopefully do it every day, check it off. And so at the end of the year, I'll have a devotional written. And I don't know what will happen with it. I hope that I know I've dreamed it. I know I've designed it. I know I've developed it. I know I have the desire. Now do I have the discipline to do it and check it off every day so that I can create the ultimate result. So, yeah, I totally get that. Absolutely, totally get that.
Discipline is community.
Yeah.
I can plan a lot of things, but if I just don't have the discipline, I get busy. It just really like
Yeah. Yeah.
I find focus is more important because what I learned in life is especially as I get older, is that there are curveballs routinely in your life. And being able to accept the stress that comes with a curveball, knowing that it's knocked you off your plan, you have to be able to reset the very next day and say, well, that happened yesterday, and today's a new day, and I'm back on plan. And to do those things, because to me, that is the hard part. And I'll give you an example, which your story is a hard story to follow, but it was a good lesson for me. Our pastor has been a head pastor for probably 10 years now, and he's a little younger than I am. And obviously that's a very, very stressful job. You carry the burdens of your flock. And real estate is a very stressful job. And what he discovered was he was taking on everybody else's stuff, and that he couldn't manage that level of stress. So we gave him a sabbatical and told him to take care of himself. And then he came back a different person. So what has happened is there are now boundaries in place. He knows what he needs to do to protect the longevity of what he needs to do.
Yep.
And so that was a really good lesson for me. It's not to let everything come in and just dump on me and accept it. I need to set those boundaries, and when the curveballs come, the very next day I have to reset.
Yep.
And put that behind.
And I would take it one step farther, Karen. I think each of us, writing the things down that we have to do every day. They're not the same, but this whole time blocking thing that we talk about, because when the curveballs come, which will come, whether it's a low appraisal or a child that calls and they're sick, or this gal who's like a third daughter to me is having a heart transplant, or your mom and her situations. I mean, we all have those things. The key, the fact is that we deal with those things. They're important, but we can look and go, oh wait, but I still have to get this, and this done today, right? That's the key, because if you don't have those, you get put in the ditch or off the path, and you're holding on for dear life with the wheel, right? Trying to get it back on, right? But if we've got these things written down and say, okay, yeah, I got to go do this today, but I need to go knock on those 3 doors today. Sometime I've got to knock on 3 doors. Or if I can't get to those doors today, I got to knock on 6 tomorrow. Because here's the other problem is 3 becomes 6, 6 becomes 9, 9 becomes 12, and then you go, I'm a failure. I didn't do what I said to do. So this time blocking, whether it's, classes on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and here from 10 to 11. Hey, somebody, I need you, Zach, I want to look at properties. That'd be great. When would you like to look at it? I'd like to look at it at 10:30 on Wednesday. If it's time blocked, Zach can say, I can't do it at 10:30, but I can do it at 11:30. Is that okay with you? Most people are going to say, yeah, that's fine. Maybe it's not training. Maybe it's the door knocking. I'm going to knock on doors from 4 to 5 on whatever. Let's say it's 4 to 5 on Saturdays. We're going to go in and knock on doors because people are home. Hey, Lee, you want to go to the movies today? Yeah, I'd love to go to the movies. When do you want to go? 5. Well, I can't do it at 5, but I can go to the 7 because I've got it in my plan. And if I've got that, it doesn't mean I can't do the other things. It just means the priority things are going to get done.
That's what I call being the boss of your own destiny.
Right.
Because if you don't control your schedule, somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's, I learned that a long time ago. The other thing I would say is really important for all of us is to have somebody that holds you accountable to what you're doing. Like, it's easy to get off track and to forgive yourself and just move on. But if somebody's not saying, do you do this, or how are you doing, and you have nothing, because we become isolated, especially when we're working from home. There's nobody holding us accountable.
The other lesson I've learned just in the last couple of days is in regards to accountability, or vice versa, disappointment. That, well, I can't believe this person didn't do that, or I can't believe. What I would encourage everybody to do when you have that thought, think about, have you done that to somebody else? So you're thinking somebody should have reached out to you about something, and they didn't. And you go, now wait, have I not reached out to somebody? And sure enough, this just happened the last couple of days. I was in my little pity party about something. And I'm thinking, I was really surprised that blah, blah. And I have a good friend who lost his brother a few days ago to leukemia, very fast scenario. And I tried this. I said, is there somebody that I haven't reached out to? And sure enough, I realized that because it happened while we were traveling back, I had not reached out to him and said, I'm really sorry about your brother, that kind of thing. So this morning, at 7:30. I text and say, hey, such and such, blah, blah, blah. And the point being is that, I'm feeling like people are disappointing me. So how many people am I disappointing? Where can I turn that around and make it a positive thing versus, so absolutely.
Well, and I'll tell you a story from yesterday, because it was like a slap in the face to me, really. I stopped by a dress shop, because I needed some black pants, and I'm in there, and the lady that was taking care of me for years is no longer there. So I'm dealing with another lady, and she's seen me a number of times or whatever, and she's checking me out, and she said to me, "You do real estate, right?" Which I should have been telling her what I do, and I didn't, and so this was an opportunity I always would have said. And she said, "My husband was just diagnosed with ALS, and I'm the builder. Can you help me?" And I should have been the one sharing with her what I do.
Right.
Because that was an opportunity I would have missed.
Yep. So turning to the next page, 5 facts to make the plan workable. And we just talked about some of these things, so it's great, perfect segue. If you can see it and believe it, you can have it. If you see it and believe it, you can have it. Again, that whole aspect of the 6 V's, I'm visualizing where I want to go. I believe I can get there. There's no reason why, if you're being realistic about what you're doing, you can have it. I don't know about you guys. I'm just, would you think less of me for this or not? But I'm a huge fan of The Voice. I love watching the show on TV, The Voice. And The Voice is this show where people come out and sing on stage with these 4 celebrities that have their backs turned.
I love
And they have to turn their chairs if they think they want to pick them for their team. And anyway, so it's, a guy from Maroon 5, it's Kelly Clarkson, it's Jay Hud, Jennifer Hudson, and
it.
Blake Shelton. Right. Anyway, the point of all this is there are kids. There's a 13-year-old kid that's in the top 10 now. 13, 14, 16, incredibly talented people. And then there's a couple old folks. But the point being is every single one of them talks about the fact that they feel like they had a talent and they've been given this opportunity and they can now see it and they believe it and they're attaining it because of this scenario. There's one gal that's in the top 10 that last year that nobody turned their chairs for. This year they turned their chairs and now she's in the top 10 because she didn't quit after that first year. She said, no, wait, I know I'm good enough to be, in this situation. So anyway, you see it, believe it, you can have it. 85% of what we know comes from what we did, what we've done, what we see done. 85% of the things that you know come from what we see done. So just the experience that you see other people have been able to do it. Therefore, I should be able to do it. Now, the other 15% is your own chutzpah and that kind of thing. Written production goals are a must. Got to write it down. So many people don't. It is so important to write things down. It's a mental thing. It's a brain thing. When you write it down, it changes what your mind does with it. I don't understand that stuff. I'm just a PE major. But it's true and it's been proven time and time again by Harvard research studies, by whatever. Adding and deleting from your database. Have the guts to delete people that are wearing you down. People that are never going to do business with you or people that are doing business with you and you hate doing business with them because they're just mean and, just let them go. But I've been working with them. Yeah, but if you would let them go, you would probably have 2 or 3 more people that you would have time with that you'd have much more enjoyable and do more business with. So being willing to add and delete from your database. And then this is really true too. If you are somebody that's does things in measurable ways, knowing how many leads you need to make a sale is energizing. So again, going back to this whole thing about a daily thing, how many doors do I have to knock on to get an appointment? How many appointments do I need to have to get an actual listing? And how many listings do I have to have one actually sell? And when you start doing that, you begin to, and for some of you who are new, it's now doing this so that a year from now you can actually, understand, okay, I did these things and I had this many leads out of Zillow, or I did this and I got this. And now I know if I get this many, then I can count on such and such. And some of you have heard me talk about this before. When I first got into business, I shadowed another agent, one with my company, but he was a guy that lived in the same neighborhood and we were friends. I said, could I just hang out with you for a day? And just, I'll get there at 7 and I'll just hang out with you until 7 or whenever you finish your day. He said, sure. And the guy's name was Kurt Kuykendall. He was a former Washington diplomat, goalie on the professional soccer team. And he lived down the street and we looked alike. And so people thought he was Mike and people thought I was Kurt. So when the neighbor would say, hey, Kurt, I'd go, hey, how you doing? You know, I wouldn't say, no, I'm Mike. He would just, we were very similar in the way that we looked and everything. Anyway, this guy had this down on steroids. He walked into his office at 7:30, wherever his house, and he had an office in his house that on every wall there was, paper. And he bar graphed his whole life in this office. So he had a commitment that he was going to spend 6 quality hours with each kid. I think he had 4 or 5 kids. And on every bar graph, Monday through Sunday, go back to this checking the boxes. Yep, I spent 2 hours with him today, so he would bar graph it. So he could see that he was being successful in things. I'm going to score X amount of points a game in the church league, basketball league. I'm going to kill 3 deer with my bow and 2 deer with my, black powder. But going back to this, he geographically farmed a couple areas in the Herndon Ruston area. And he had these neighborhoods up, and he knew, and I'm making these numbers up, but the point being is, he knew that for every 20 doors that he knocked on, he was going to get an opportunity to talk to those people about listing their house. And back then, like I said, the interest rates were crazy. He had 3 listings. He got 3 appointments, he'd get 1 listing, and for 3 listings, he'd get a sale. So if you take 20 homes, he gets a lead, right? He needs 3 leads. That means he's got to knock on 60 doors to get 1. And then he needs 3 of them. So it ended up being like 90 doors that he had to knock on to actually get. He knew that if he knocked on 90 doors, that he would have a sale, a listing sold. And so back then, the average sales price was, $100,000, right? So he divided $100,000, 3%, $3,000. He divided that by 90. And for the sake of discussion, he knew that every door he knocked on, he made $35. He just knew it. And he knew it because he had been doing it for years. And obviously, it got less doors because he would convert the appointments into, you get my point. But anyway, so he'd come home at night, and Sherry would say, how'd the day go? And he'd say, I made $350. Because he knocked on 10 doors. Or he made $700, or he made whatever. He knew for a fact that even if he didn't get 1 appointment during that day, that if he knocked on enough doors, he would get an appointment. If he got enough appointments, he would get listings. And he got enough listings, he'd get whatever. And so this is what this is talking about here, is knowing how many leads you make makes the sale energizing. Because if you are in a place where you get thrown a curveball, and you can't knock on those 3 doors, well, I gotta knock on 6 tomorrow to get to the number so that I can get the lead, so I can get the appointment, so I can get the listing, so I get to make money. Does that make sense? So I began to work that in my own life and found that it was truly the case. It was truly the case that I could depend on that happening. And when that happens, you're in a position of control. Because you're making sure that you make enough contacts that get you enough leads, that get you enough listings or buyers that ultimately become dollars earned. So knowing how many leads makes sense. And then the other thing, if you're a competitive person, you want to get better, right? So if it's 20 doors to get a lead, I want to make it 15 doors. Or if it's 3 leads that get me an appointment, I want it to be 2 leads. If it's 3 listings to get 1 saleable listing, so every one of them sells, right? And so by having the statistics, you can begin to see you guys, some of you have heard me say this, that you'd have this attitude of So don't say, I'm gonna get 2 listings every month, or I'm gonna get 2 sales every month, when in fact, that's not gonna happen because August is just quiet or whatever. And again, the longer you're in the business, you can track this and you can begin to see where your business ebbs and flows, right? But going into it, if you've never done it before, just understand that all months aren't the same. More production is gonna happen in the first half of the year than the second half of the year. You need to make plans for planned and unplanned events, and we just talked about that. We need to make plans for the curveballs. We need to make plans for things that, a deal that we thought for sure was gonna close and now it's not. And then again, that's the whole key to having a pipeline, because if we're dependent on one sale, you know, to pay our mortgage or pay a car payment, and all of a sudden that deal falls apart, we can be tempted to not treat that client in the way that they need to be treated, because we need that to sell more than they do, or they need it closed because we need the money. And so all of a sudden say, well, you start almost like you can get in a place where you're trying to force them into doing something that they shouldn't do, or letting go of something that they really have the right to say, no, I want this fixed before I close. And if we have a pipeline and we know that we've got the business and stuff, and we're committed to what is our why, what is our purpose? Our purpose is to planned and unplanned events, and then and if you know your ability, stay within that ability for it to be your, sort of meat and potatoes after. Clients. That's a place that I don't think a lot of us are real good at. Current clients, you should be saying to them, even in the midst of it, haven't closed yet, hey, do you know anybody else that maybe thinking about buying? You know anybody else in the neighborhood who's thinking about selling? Because hopefully while you're in the midst of the transaction, they're happy with what you're doing. There's no reason why you have to wait until it closes out. There's nothing that says that somewhere in there you can say, hey, I'm really enjoying working with you, and I hope there are more people like you. And if there are, I'd like to help them. Do you know anybody else that I could be talking to now as it relates to buying and selling? So, so open house visitor, current clients, past home buyers. Again, people that you've worked with before, that you've helped buy houses, past home buyers, online shoppers. Again, really, you need to look at this as far as your business plans, because they're not for everybody, but online leads, there is gold up in them hills if you do it well. If you put yourself in the right place and you've got a system in place for following up with people, knowing that you may not hear from them for a while, but they're getting something from you on a regular basis, and all of a sudden they go, I've been getting your stuff for 6 months and we're gonna come in 10 next weekend. There's so many times you're that kind of person that is not going to, stay in touch with people when you get those leads because they're not responding to. Back to Jerry Miller yesterday. If you didn't get so adamant about the fact that you've got to be present online. People have got to be able to find you, because 95% of people are starting their searches on the internet. And you've got to put yourself. So that when people search real estate in Charlottesville or wherever, you come up, because of the fact that you're doing things alongside Roy Wheeler and with this thing that we're going to do with I Love Seville, it's just going to create, a much more dynamic search engine optimization. But anyway, the point being is online shoppers, your social network, unlisted properties. I think there's real opportunities there with the inventory being down. If you can find a neighborhood that's attractive, to send something into those neighborhoods and to say, hey, we know that there are buyers that are looking for properties in this price range and in this area. If you're thinking about selling, we'd love the opportunity to talk with you. You may not have a buyer. The key is the we, because Roy Wheeler does. I can promise you that if you get a listing in Dry Springs or Upper Rugby Avenue, Roseville Drive, or different places, and you put something out in the neighborhood, somebody's gonna have a buyer that's interested in there. So it's not, you're not pie in the sky, you're not blowing smoke. You're saying we have buyers that are currently looking for properties in this price range, in this area. It's a wonderful place to, and then again, how do you differentiate yourself? If it's a neighborhood that you want to specialize in, you say that, and then you knock on the door and say, hey, I'm Lee Wyatt, I sent you a flyer the other day about the fact that we're looking for listings in the marketplace. I just want to stop by and ask you, do you know of anybody that's thinking about selling now or in the near future? Because I'd love to help them. And they go, well, I can't think of anybody right now. Well, that's great. Here's my card. If you think of somebody, please let me know. And then you get back, again, disciplined to write them a note. Hey, it was great to talk to you today. As I said before, if you hear anybody who's thinking about selling or who wants to move into the neighborhood, I'd love the opportunity to serve them. Would you please give me a call?
Justine yesterday reached out to her neighbors about a lot that she might be putting on.
That's right.
Immediately got response back from all the neighbors.
Yeah, she sent out a little thing saying, hey, we're interested in selling this piece of property and to the adjoining neighbors. And she immediately got a couple different people that said, yeah, I'd be interested in that because they want to protect their view shed or whatever the case may be. And I can tell you, there are agents in the company that are doing this on a regular basis and having tremendous success with it. Expired listings, another place. The good news about expired listings is that they were listed at one point, right? And that means one, they wanted to sell, and two, they used a realtor. So those are two things that are good to know. Back on the market or whatever, and then make a commitment that I'm going to be in touch with every one of these people in the next whatever, and just say, I know you had your house. Because I'd love the opportunity to figure out a way to market your house to get it sold. Would that be okay? Well, we're not thinking about, selling now for the next 6 months. That's no problem. I'd still like to come over, just chat with you, get some ideas of what you're doing. And then, 3-4 months from now, I'll reach back out to you and see if I can be of help. Nothing else. It's putting you in front of somebody else. And then a line that you use in that particular conversation is, let me ask you a question, Mark. You had your house on the market for $349. If next week or 2 weeks from now, I hear in my office that somebody's got a buyer that's looking for something in that price range, would you still be interested in selling versus waiting for 6 months? And most sellers would say, well, unless something's really changed, they say, well, yeah, absolutely. Well, great. The reason I'm asking that is if that's really the case, would you consider letting me go ahead and get a listing agreement signed with you, and I'll start just, promoting it around my company and seeing if we can find somebody that's interested. And then when it comes to 3 or 4 months from now, when you're ready to get back on the market, then we can do something. You'll be amazed how many sellers, nobody's ever asked them that question. We're just taking off the market for 6 months, it didn't sell, blah, blah. Well, if you did get a contract tomorrow at this price, would you sell? Well, yeah, I'd sell. Oh, good. And then we need to continue to have a conversation because you obviously are still interested in selling your house. It's just a matter of how you get it sold. So again, expired listings. And then I look around the room, maybe a little bit, not much, children's families. Your children have a lot of friends. And there's ways to, especially, in this room, it's not the case. Although Barb could probably, and Julie might because of grandkids. You go and volunteer at the school or you go to, grandparents' day or whatever, And you got an opportunity to create a whole new network of people when they find out that you're Henry's grandma. You know, and so anyway, children's families. And the joke for us is that when we moved into Still Meadow, we didn't have kids, we didn't have a dog. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna, you know, get to know the people in the neighborhood. And this is a true story. I said to Donnie, I figured out what I'm gonna do. She said, what's that? I said, well, I don't have any kids. I don't have a dog. She said, I know that. And we're not gonna get any dogs, so don't even think about it. So I'm just gonna go over every morning, put my cup of coffee and stay at the bus stop with all the other parents while they're waiting for the kids to get on the school bus. And she said, no, over my dead body, you're gonna go across the street. I said, no, I'm not gonna stand by the kid. I'm not gonna stand by the kids. I'm just gonna stand over by the parents. And she said, yeah, I know what you're gonna do, but you're not gonna do it. I said, well, it would have been a great way of, you know, she said, no, that's not happening. So it didn't. But anyway, children's families. In summary, new contacts create new opportunities. I truly believe if I have to boil our business down to one word, it's contacts. If I don't have contacts, it doesn't matter how well I know the contractor, it doesn't know how well I'm going to market a property if I got nobody to work with. So somehow, some way, my business plan has to have something in it every day or 5 days a week or whatever you're going to do. Who am I going to meet today? What new person am I going to meet today that I'm going to be able to put in my database? When I was selling back in the mid-'80s, along with making a positive difference in the world today, I had another thing over my desk and it said, have you made an appointment today? And I truly wouldn't allow myself to leave the office until I made an appointment. And if I didn't make an appointment, and back then you had to go to the office, you didn't have all the technology and stuff that we have now. If I didn't have one, I'd go home at 5:30, help with the kids, whatever, and I'd go back to the office at 7 or 7:30 and look at expired listings or do whatever to see if I could figure out a way to add somebody else to my database. The appointment could be 6 months from now. Didn't have to be tomorrow, but it had to be somebody that said, yeah, I'd be interested in talking to you about buying a house in the spring. Great, when would be good? Well, we hope to, you know, possibly start looking around March. Okay, how about if I get in touch with you the end of January? It gives us a month to, you know, start the process, get you with a lender, blah, blah, blah. That'd be great. Okay, end of January is great. What's the best way of reaching you? Well, call on us would be good. What number to call? They give you a number. What time of day do you like to be called? And so let's just say they said January 30th, and they said, we get home at 5, why don't you give us a call at 6:30? 6:30 on the dot, I would call them up on January 30th. Hey, this is Michael Guthrie, Realty Realtors. We talked about you wanting to buy a house starting in March. You asked me to call you on January 30th, and here I am. And one, it just, you know, and I've been in touch with them by note and that kind of thing, but on January 30th, 6:30, the way we had it set up, and back then, now you can do it because your phone will ding at you and remind you, but I had a calendar and I looked through and I would make that call right on that time because I wanted them to see that I was going to do exactly what I said I was going to do, right? But whether it's yesterday or, I mean, tomorrow or 6 months from now, it was an appointment. And it meant I had one more thing in my pipeline that I didn't have the day before. And it was just a commitment of focus, whether it be an expired listing or for sale by owner, you know, whatever the case may be, I was going to have a new appointment each and every day. And sometimes, you know, thankfully there were more than one. But new contacts create new opportunities. Same people, same systems, same results. You know, if you got the same people in the thing and they're not referring business to you, and you're not doing anything different to try to increase that, you're going to get the same results. Inactive people never change anything. And you're sitting around waiting. I know the phone's going to ring, you know, or I'm going to do an open house and I'm going to, hey, Junior, do an open house, and I'm going to decide to do an open house, I'm going to advertise it, and I'm going to get there, and I'm going to pray that somebody comes. You know, that's not the way to maximize an open house. An open house is about prospecting off of it to the neighbors, prospecting off of it to move up buyers, putting yourself in a position in a geographic or a price range that you want to be in. It's not about choosing an open house, putting it in the paper and praying that somebody comes. Now, if you're going to do that, don't put it in the paper. Find a house that's vacant or the people aren't going to be there. Get the agent to agree to allow you to hold it open. without an ad. And that way, if somebody comes in that's serious about buying, you put those signs in your trunk and you start showing them property, right? Let's just spend an hour or two, nobody comes, and I can leave. I don't have to stay the whole 3 hours. So unadvertised open, I just put some signs up around a new home project or whatever, and hope that I generate people, because I've got a couple hours on Saturday to kill. And I'm gonna do it by, being at an open house in a place. But anyway, inactive people never change anything. And again, going back to this whole aspect of knowing how many leads you have, makes it energizing. The person who knows the numbers succeeds almost every time. Not every time. People can do all the right things and it just not happen. But most situations, if you know your numbers and you hit those numbers, you're going to be successful, because you're putting yourself in a position to deal with the number of people that you need to deal with to get to the numbers that you want to get to. All right? Turning the page. Questions about any of that?
I just got a question. Relates to expired listings. I tried to call them the other day because some clients of mine that are under buyer brokerage were interested. And it was a 24-hour notice call agent, so only the last name of the seller was listed. So I looked up anywho.com and I looked at the tax records. I found the name, the number was out of service. Is there any better way now to get a phone number for someone where it's not listed in MLS? So I was just going to call and say, hey, would you still consider selling this additional acreage? If so, have a buyer. It was a warm call, really, not
Yeah.
rock. So I wasn't, but I actually called the listing agent because I was like, do you have any knowledge of this? Because it's probably a wild goose chase, but you never know.
Well, I mean, if you're on the right track and you're trying to find the number, but if you can't find the number, what I would do is I'd just go to the house and just knock on the door and say, hi, I'm Caroline. I saw that your listing had expired in the MLS. Have you thought about, are you still interested in selling it? And they'll say yes or no. If they say yes, well, I've got a buyer that may be interested in it. Would you allow me to, have an opportunity to show it? And if I can show it, sell it. And if I can sell it, are you willing to pay me a commission? You can do it one of two ways. You can just knock on the door and do it that way. Or you can actually create a little package, expired listing package, where it just says, take some of the information that Chris has put together, a couple things, and just say, I'm dropping this by because I saw that your listing expired. I don't know if you're thinking about selling it in the now or in the near future, but if you are, I'd love the opportunity to talk with you about marketing your house to get it sold. Here's some information about me and my company. If you're interested, give me a call. And you just leave it for them. And quite honestly, that can be more effective than the phone call, because you've actually, one, you got a chance to meet them, but two, you've actually shown them that you've put some things together and are serious about wanting the opportunity to talk with them. So, Barbara.
When you do have a client though, wouldn't it also make sense to maybe reach out to the other agent who had it?
Well,
That's what she did.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
did, okay.
And then the broker didn't know which listing agent. I finally found her. She hasn't called me back. I was just wondering if there's anything else other than, now that I don't have a phone book, but
Right.
anything else other than anyfood.com, which is how I usually.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you do, if you're lucky enough and you are working in a particular geographic area and you have good contacts in there, you can ask them, would you mind allowing me to make a copy of your directory? The homeowners directory. I'm not going to use it to market, but it gives me an opportunity to have contact information so if I want to talk to somebody individually. If you got a good, a raving fan, right, a past client who trusts you and knows that you're not going to do anything wrong with that, sometimes you can get, that. Another thing you can do is,
And this is a farm estate out in Orange County, so.
yeah. So, okay. So it's all in the plan. Our goal is to provide outstanding service that brings us the level of business we need to fulfill our financial goals while enabling us to enjoy the quality of life that we deserve. So again, what's your goal? Worthwhile goals. It needs to be achievable and sustainable. You want to be specific with your goals. You want to focus on the positive. You want to expect change. And obviously you want them written down. What about the plan? When you're crystal clear about your goal, your mind will create a plan to help you get where you need to go. And that's kind of what I was talking about before. If you get to the place of what is your why, what is your purpose, and here's why I'm doing this, and this is where I want to go. Your mind is going to begin to create a plan to do that. You're going to start thinking about that, and other things are start coming in your head. And the key is to have some place to write all these things down, right? Whether it's in your phone or your iPad, computer, or just on a legal pad. As you're thinking through your plan, as you're looking through on a daily or weekly basis about your goals for this month or your goals for this quarter or whatever, your mind starts going there and different ideas start coming up. Oh, maybe I should think about doing this, or maybe I should start doing this, or whatever the case may be. Don't wait to get it perfect. Allow your plan to change. Focus on daily activities that help you achieve your goal. I can't emphasize that enough. You've got to have daily activities that you go into the day saying, these are the things that have to be accomplished. Kate Ryan's a great example of this. Some of you have heard her speak before. Very successful agent up in Northern Virginia. And she has even now, to this day, even with a few people that work with her, she has a daily list of things that she has to get done. And it may be 10 things, sometimes it might be 8, sometimes it may be 10, sometimes it may be 16. But the first thing she does every morning, before she leaves the night before, she writes them down. This is what we gotta get done tomorrow. And then the first thing she does the next morning is she draws a line between, right in the middle. So if it's 8, she draws a line between 4 and 5. If it's 16, she draws a line between 8 and 9. And the first 8 or the first 4, whatever, they have to be done in the morning. Because what it does is it motivates her through the rest of the day to get the rest of them done. So she challenges herself, says, these have got to be done before lunchtime. And then what happens is she gets those things done before lunchtime, and it just motivates her to the fact that she's going to get the rest of them. The other thing she does is she makes the hardest one, she does the hardest one first. The hardest phone call, the hardest, if you don't like calling expired listings or whatever the case may be, she does the things she doesn't like to do the most first. Because what happens is, one, it's now done. And regardless of how it went, it's done. The second reason is that we all have a tendency to procrastinate. And what we do is we push the things that we don't want to do farther down the list, and that is an energy sucker. Because we know we need to get it done, and we don't even know we're doing it, but we're pushing it down, but it's not going away, and it's taking away mental energy. And my favorite story about this, I was teaching this several years ago, and I said this, and the next morning I called Jenny barefoot. And I called her about 8:30 in the morning. And I don't know if Jenny was watching or not, but I still laugh about this. She literally answered the phone and said, what did I do wrong? I said, what did you, Jenny, this is Michael. Yeah, I know. What did I do wrong? You haven't done anything wrong. Why? I said, well, because it's 8:30 in the morning and you're doing whatever you hated to do first. True story. And I was calling her to congratulate her because I saw on the hot sheet she had 2 listings sell or whatever the case may be, but she was convinced that I was doing the hardest thing first because I had just done that. But anyway, focus on daily activities to help you achieve your goal and measure your results daily. That goes back to the numbers. Okay, I knocked on 10 doors today. What happened? 0. Okay, I knocked on 10 doors the next day. What happened? 1. Okay, I knocked on 15 doors the next day. 0. Okay, you start measuring and thinking through how that day went. And on the one that you got, did you do anything different? Was there some different thing that caused that to happen? Because that may say, okay, well, I'm going to try that again. I'm going to do that this way this time. And again, golf analogy, around the greens, people take some sort of iron or whatever and chip it on. Well, I'm much better using my putter. I just have better success from somewhere around the green, putting it onto the green versus trying to chip it. And so, at some point, years ago, I realized that. And I said, I'm just going to try to putt this. And I putted it, it got closer to the hole than normally when I chip it. I go, maybe I'll try that more often. And sure enough, now that's just become the way I go about doing that. Whereas somebody else who's really good looks at me and goes, why are you using your putter? Well, because I'm much more effective on putter. Yeah, but if you chip it, it'll go up there and it'll get some backspin and it'll, check up. And yeah, I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to putt it. You do what you want to do. I'm going to putt it. And again, it goes back to that thing about, hey, that's fine for you, but for me to be effective, I got to use my putter. So that's fine for you. You're getting your business because you're at the country club or whatever. But for me, I got to do expired listings, or I got to do open houses, or I got to do whatever. So anyway, measuring your result daily and realizing what works and what doesn't work. Back to basic marketing. When you get right down to it, there are two groups of people you do business with, those you know and those you don't. And what I would do is have an attitude of the people that don't know me are going to get somebody not quite as good as me. You know, there are 1,000 realtors out there, and there are a lot of people looking to buy a house, looking to sell a house. If they don't pick me, not that there aren't a lot of good ones out there, but they're not getting the best. Because I know I'm going to treat them well. I know I'm going to look out after their best interests. It's a shame that they don't get to work with me. And that seems crazy, but that needs to be our attitude. Whether we're brand new to the business or experienced, our attitude should be, if they don't work with me, gosh, I'm sorry. Right? When I was geographic farming, I had a neighborhood of about 275 homes, and I literally got about 8 out of every 10 listings that came in there. It took years, but I had 8 or 10 listings. When one of the other 2 came on the market, I go, the heck were they thinking? Why in the world would they listen to that person? I'm the king of Stratton Woods. You know, I had the highest price range of blah, blah, blah. That could have been that they bought the house from them. It could have been that it was their sister, you know, whatever. But I would just shake my head going, oh, man, they're selling for second best. But the other part of that is having the written goals, the daily activities, the specific activities, that when a listing comes on the market that you were hoping you were going to get and you didn't, you have 2 choices. You can go get in bed, put the blanket over your head, stick your thumb in your mouth, and say, poor me. You know, I didn't get that. Or I can look at my daily activities and say, well, I just got to work a little harder because I didn't get that one, so I got to go find another one. And that's what having those written goals and activities are all about, is to when we get discouraged and get frustrated, that we literally look at that list and go, all right, got to go deliver flyers. All right, got to go do this. And leaving that behind, leaving the past behind, because I can't do anything about that, and focus on what's next. So when you're thinking about marketing, is your marketing bringing you new leads? Act as a wonderful closing tool at a listing appointment? Does it set your clients' expectations and keep them happy? Does it help you get your listing sold? Does it give you a daily marketing tool? And what I'm talking about with that in regards to the daily marketing tool is, again, using open houses as an example. If I choose to make open houses a key to my business plan, in other words, I'm going to hold open houses every other Sunday, or I'm going to hold an open house 3 out of 4 Sundays, because I think you need to take a weekend off and that kind of thing. But I'm going to do 3 out of, okay, so I'm going to do that, and how is that going to give me a daily marketing tool? Because I'm going to spend every day marketing that open house. I'm going to hold that open house on Raintree Drive, and one day I'm going to take flyers around to the 20 neighbors and knock on their doors and say, hey, I'm holding this house open on Sunday. Love for you to stop by. And again, going back to the roadmap for success that we put together for you guys, there's a whole section on maximizing the open house in there. But the point being is, I'm going to go around to the 20 neighbors, introduce myself. It's going to give me a chance to meet 20 people. Maybe I do that for 2 or 3 days. I'm going to take stuff into a move-up neighborhood and introduce myself and say, hey, I'm doing this house over in Raintree. I go into River Run and say, hey, you know, are you outgrowing these townhouses or these condos? I'd love for you to come see Raintree. I'm going to send something out to my sphere of influence. Hey, I'm going to be holding a house over in Raintree. If you know of anybody who's thinking about buying over in that area, I'd love for you to tell them about it. It can be a daily marketing tool. It can be choosing to do an open house. I choose it about 10 days in advance, and for the next 10 days, I'm previewing. I'm previewing all around that open house. So I get to know all the different houses that are on the market. And if I have the time to do it, I'm knocking on doors. And I knock on the door, and Logan comes to the door, and I say, hi, I'm Michael Guthrie. I'm going to hold an open house over here on Raintree. I just previewed the house next to you. And I'm just curious, how do you like the neighborhood? What do you like about it? You know, Logan says, yeah, I like it. You know, we really enjoyed it here. Oh, so you've been here for a while? Yeah, we've been here about 3 years. Great. So you bought the house 3 years? No, we're renting. Well, oh, really? Have you ever thought about, you know, doing something different? The point being is, my reason for knocking on the door is not to find out whether she's renting or selling. It's to say, I just previewed this house over here. And I just would love to hear what you have to say about the neighborhood. But it may turn into the fact that I can end up putting Logan in my database. Because we've had a conversation. I find out that she's renting. Hey, would you mind if I put some information together and send it to you in regards to what it would look like to buy? She says yes or no. Depending on what happens, I write her a personal note. Now with renters, it's a little harder because I don't know her name yet unless she gives it to me. But if she gives me her name, then I can look. I got the address. Obviously, I make the note, put Logan in there, and Write her a note. Even she just says Logan, I'll address it Logan. 1245 Burnley Station Drive. Really great to meet you today. Thanks for taking the time to tell me about the neighborhood. If I can ever help you in any way. So the point being is, I can take an open house and I can do something different for 10 days before that open house. And if nobody ever shows up at the open house, it doesn't matter, because I used it as my reason for daily marketing. That makes sense? And you can be different things as well. That's just an example for you. Expired listings. Are you an expert on helping folks who have had a difficult time selling their home? You need to be an expert. You need to be confident. What will it take to get their house sold? The seller doesn't want to make the same mistake twice. You want to be firm, and you want to be persistent in regards to having the opportunity of, I'd love that the chance to help you. And again, we'll talk more about that later, not in this class, but when we do expired listing training. But I think expired listings is a really good place if you don't have business to focus on, to try to get business. The worst case that happens is you don't do it well. Well, the next time you do it, you can do it better. It goes back about tracking your results. Why did this person get mad at me and think that I was too, pushy? And what can I do differently next time to not come across that way? Build rapport, gain credibility, show people you care. Geographic target marketing, I think it's a huge place, a great place for people to spend their time. Picking the right target market makes you more money. Give them a reason to call you. You want to be the source of this for the source. Be the source of the source. That's right. Be the source of the stuff. You want to be in a situation where people in the neighborhood say, if it's about real estate in any sort of convoluted way, I need to call Karen Down. I need a handyman. I need to call Karen Down. I need to think about refinancing. I need to call Karen Down. I need to have somebody who might be interested in renting a property in Lake Anna. I got to call Karen Down. If I can be the source of the source and get those people always thinking about me, then when it comes to somebody who's thinking about buying or selling, they're call me too. Give them a reason to call you. Let them see you everywhere. And not just about business, but let them see you everywhere. So again, if you're geographic target marketing, be at the elementary school. Figure out how to, back to school night. Of course, that's already over, but if it was in the summer, and you start doing geographic marketing, in your plan, again, your calendar, go over and meet the principal, build a relationship, and say, hey, if you're doing a back to school night, or if you're doing a holiday concert or whatever, I'd love to provide the refreshments. They're always looking for money, right? The PTO, that kind of thing. And go and set up a table and do the refreshments. And refreshments are brought to you by Julie Holbrook of Roy Wheeler Realty Company. Julie's done a great job of that in Madison right now with different events that are out there. Their wine thing and that kind of thing. She's out there and people are seeing her, being a part of that. So let them see you everywhere in that geographic target marketing. Right now, Toy Lift, Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. I just sent an email out this morning about that, about bringing unwrapped toys in. And I'm involved with this Blue Ridge Area Food Bank Shop to Stop Hunger thing next Thursday, and at the Kroger, running around madly in the aisles and taking food down. But the key is to get food dropped off there in the bin with my name and Les Sinclair's name on it. The point being is, if I'm geographic target marketing, I'm going to send a flyer in. Again, to say Still Meadow, if I'm geographic target marketing, I'm going to say on Saturday morning, December, whatever that is, 1st or 2nd, I'm going to be at the corner of Still Meadow and Brownstone Lane from 10 to 12. If you'd like to stop by and drop by some food or an unwrapped new toy for Toy Lift, I'll be there and make sure it gets to the proper place. Now, nobody even comes to Still Meadow and Brownstone for those trials. It doesn't matter. The fact that you sent a flyer in there and said, I'm doing this to make a difference in this community, and I'm going to be sitting there from 10 to 12, and you sit there, with a lawn chair or whatever, with a Roy Wheeler sign, as people drive by. If nobody ever drops anything off, it doesn't matter, because they've seen that you're doing something different to make the marketplace different. When marketing those you know, friends and family, market yourself. Your friends and family, they should know that you're in the business. They should know that you can help them. Zach has a lot of family down in Roanoke. We've talked about, make sure they know that he's willing to drive down there still and help somebody buy a house or list a house, and we've got him in the MLS down there and stuff. But let's say he wasn't. It doesn't mean he still can't let people know that he's in the business. And if they're thinking about listing, let's just say, for instance, it's not Roanoke. Let's say it's Greensboro. And he's, you know, hey, I'm in the real estate business. You live in Greensboro. Girl, if you're thinking about buying a house, if you're thinking about selling a house, you need to call me first. Because I'll get you with the right realtor in Greensboro. And so that whole opportunity, think about your friends and family, not just here, but everywhere around the country. Let them know that you can help them with that. So value is what you ask for. Let them know what you want. Secret is asking for permission. Delivering service and business will follow. You know, deliver service and business will follow, sorry. And then the right way to receive a referral. The right way to receive a referral is gratefully, right? And the right way to receive a referral is to make sure they understand how much you are thankful for what they do. Now, I just got a referral from a good friend that I referred out, and I made sure that that person knew how much I appreciated it. You know, I wrote them a note first, and then I told them, hey, they bought a house, you know, thanks so much. And then I stuck a gift certificate in the mail to them and just said, hey, I'd like you to enjoy dinner. I mean, it really means a lot to me that you thought of me. Now, again, I don't believe that that's a RESPA violation because I didn't say, if you refer something to me, I'm going to give you something. It was me saying thank you. It wasn't a, what's the term, quid pro quo? You know, if this, then that. That person had no idea. Back when she emailed me back, she said, you did not need to do that. I just trusted you that you would take care of these people and get them with an agent that was going to help them. But there's no doubt in my mind that that person knows that I was grateful and I was thankful. And there's no doubt in my mind that she'll do it again because she, you know, she felt appreciated. And I mean, it's so easy to forget and take that for granted and get busy and go, oh wait, I didn't, you know, do that. So the right way to receive a referral is gratefully. Establishing a referral network. How can your current clients provide you leads for more advertising? It goes back again to what Karen just said about, you know, the person and I don't understand how you buy pants in a dress shop. I didn't quite figure that out. But in the clothing store, right? Am I saying that person, I'm a realtor, I really appreciate the way you treat me. I'm always grateful for the way you take care of me here. If you know of anybody's ever thinking about buying or selling, I'll give them the same service. Whether it's your dry cleaner, your doctor, your accountant, you know, whatever. The manager of the restaurant that you always go to, whatever the case may be. And here's the crazy thing. You go, well, I probably have lots of realtors that come in here, and why would they refer it to me than somebody else? Well, why do you think they refer it to you rather than somebody else? What would be a couple reasons why they refer to you?
You asked for it.
You asked for it. Nobody else does it. Nobody else ever asked me to refer something to me. And two, that you build rapport, you gain credibility, show that person you care. You actually are caring for that person. And this is the crazy thing. You care for that person, business is going to come your way. What you have to understand and deal with is that there can be some guilt in that. Am I doing this because I'm trying to get business, or am I doing this because of the way I want to live my life? I want to live my life in a servant-hearted way. I want to live my life in a way of giving back to others. Crazy thing is that business will come from that. And so what you have to do is make sure you're doing it for the right reasons so that you don't have to deal with that guilt. Oh, I'm just treating this person this way because I'm hoping they'll refer something. And here's the other thing, I think. If you're treating them just because you want to get a referral, I'm going to bet most times you won't get it because you're not sincere in the way you're going about doing it. There may be some exceptions to that, but anyway, how can your current clients provide you leads? It's all about contacts. We already talked about that. The more contacts, the more business will flow. Consistent creativity, phone, mailings, dropping by, personal notes, qualifying your database. And I put in here orange juice analogy, baseball hunting handout. I'm not going to go into a lot of that, but I am going to say this. You put as much into the juicer, put as many oranges into the juicer as you can, and then you hit the thing and it blends it all up. If you like orange juice that doesn't have pulp in it, then you're going to have to go in there and scoop the pulp out, right? And take it out, and then you're going to blend it some more. And you're going to scoop the pulp out, then you're going to blend it some more, and finally you're going to get the orange juice the way you want it. The point being is, as you create leads, as you create contacts, as you create things, you put it all in there. As you get enough in there, you're going to start having to take some stuff out that isn't producing. It's the pulp that keeps the juice from being pure, right? And so, yeah, I'm putting everything in there at first, but once I get this thing going and find out what works, then I'm going to start qualifying people, and there are going to be listings I'm not going to take. There are going to be buyers I'm not going to work with until they're farther along. I may have a buyer that's going to be ready to buy something in 6 months because they're renting, I'm not gonna go out and show them property now because they can't buy anything. But if I'm gonna preview a neighborhood because of my open houses, I'm gonna call Zach and say, hey, Zach, I'm gonna be in a price range that you and Carly are gonna be interested in 6 months. You wanna go out and drive around with me? The cool thing about that is, one, you got company, and two, it makes you look like you got a client. Because, you know, I'm gonna be showing somebody the property today versus a preview. I'm joking a little bit. But the point being is, in that situation, I can still stay in touch with those people. It's sort of what I call front burnering and back burnering people. Right? The front burner are people who are ready to put their house on the market tomorrow. They're ready to buy a house in the next 30 days. The back burner are the people that are 6 months out, this spring, whatever. I'm gonna keep them simmering. I'm gonna keep it, you know, going. I'm gonna stay in touch with them so that it doesn't go stone cold on me. And then I'm gonna bring them to the front burner when it's their turn. And that's what I'm gonna communicate with them. I can only give you so much time right now because I gotta deal with people that are dealing with stuff today, whereas it's gonna be 6 months for you. And they go, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. But I'm gonna stay in touch with you. And if you have any questions or whatever, please don't hesitate to call. And baseball hunting handout, I'll give to you another time. Real quick, we won't take a lot of time on this. This is just some ways to create success in 2019, not 2018. But this next page is 20 ways to create success. And interesting enough, Karen, the first one's accountability. How will you hold yourself accountable to your plan? What will it look like? 12-month plan, what time best works for you. You know, you can go through these and take it to what works for you. Then the next page is something I put together in regards to determining the value of your time, establishing what you believe your time is worth on an hourly basis. So you start figuring out what it is that you want to be making on an hourly basis. This again goes back to measurable activity. It goes back to understanding your numbers. But in this particular situation, $50 per hour pre-expenses times 50 weeks, work per year times 50 hours per week, so $105,000, 60% split. You sell $7 million at 3%, at a 60% split, you must sell at least $8.2 million at 2.5%. 60% split, you must sell at least $9.8 million at 2%. Obviously, we don't want to reduce our commission. That's what this is all about. If you reduce your commission, you're going to have to sell more, right? And then you can work these numbers. The nice thing is when you start getting up into these numbers, you're not at 60% anymore, you're at 85%. And so the numbers change dramatically at that point. But not only good business ethics dictate you have a uniform commission policy, but as the preceding example illustrates, it's a wise, efficient use of your time. Work harder. Are you going to work harder or smarter? And again, so that's why you want to hang on to your commission. You don't want people to do what they call commissionectomies. Because you can just see the numbers, how much more you have to sell if you reduce. Defining the services you're willing to provide each client with whom you engage in either a listing agreement or buyer-broker agreement. Don't work with anyone who's not willing to sign a contract, which ensures that you will be compensated for your services. And again, if your time is valuable, why in the world are you going to go out and show property to somebody who's not has not agreed to allow you to exclusively represent them? Now, you may do it the first time, just a get to know you type of thing. But after that, I want something saying, do you want to work with me? If you don't, that's fine. Just let me know. But if I'm going to really give you all of me and really do the best job I can, I need to know that we're in this together. If I'm going to sell your home, that's great. But I need to know that you want to sell your home. You don't want to just put your house on the market at a high price that's never going to sell. You know, a great example of this is, you may have seen it, I think it was yesterday, Frank Hardy just listed a property development, Verulam Farm. I think 15.75, something like that. What was it? 15.8. Yeah, so Caroline and Jim McVeigh had been talking to these people, and they ended up talking to some broker in New York. And anyway, long story made short, we didn't get the listing. They would have been so much better off with Jim and Caroline, right? But the key is, in this situation, we weren't surprised because of what went on, but two, $15.8 million is probably not going to sell at that. And this guy was very persnickety and you know, this is what I think my house is, you know, anyway. The point being is, in that situation, that may be a listing that you get an opportunity for and you say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. Because I don't want to be sitting there trying to, you know, market a property for lots of money and it never sells. What's that? Possibly. And that's a great example. Thank you for bringing.
Now that
I may not sell, but I'm getting buyers on it.
So thank you for bringing that up, because you're absolutely right. I'm not saying that every listing Kay Sands is another great example of that. Kay had a listing on Monticello Avenue. Absolutely abusive seller. I had to get involved several times because he would deal with me differently because I was the man, versus Kay being one true example of discrimination in that situation. But she got 4 buyers off of that property. We never sold it.
Yeah.
But she hung on to it because it had great street, had great visibility.
Yeah.
And she got 4 buyers, and that's a different situation. You may take a listing because you are making the right decision, and you know what, I think I'll probably get some leads off the internet off this one because of the way it looks, whatever.
Sometimes the advertising, people keep seeing your name, you drive by it every day. I have to drive by the sign and see it. Even though I may not sell it, it's close enough to where I live and I see it all the time.
Yeah, and that's a decision that you make, because if you go back to geographic farming for a minute, you may not do that in a geographic farm because you don't want people driving by it for months and never selling. Because people start thinking, well, why isn't this agent? There's something wrong with this agent. That kind of thing. And we just had that example in Still Meadow. Very good agent, had a listing in our neighborhood. It looks like they finally got a contract on it, but just didn't sell. You know this agent's a really good agent. But neighbors are saying, what's wrong with this house? Why isn't this seller, this agent, being able to get this house sold? Within the process, outline what you think of yourself, your abilities, your skill, and your profession. Do you feel it's worth more or less than the hourly rate you wish to achieve for quality services? And then again, determine up front what your policy is going to be under any circumstances concerning your compensation. The reason you want to determine it up front is because if you don't have an answer when they ask you, then you lose. But if you can say, I understand what you're saying in regards to reducing the commission, but let me explain to you how this all works. First of all, whatever commission we decide on, 3% is going to go out to a buyer agent. So that money's gone. So let's not even think about that that's on my side of the equation. Now we got this left. And if we start reducing this, what is it that you want us to reduce? Do you not want us to market it here? Do you not want us to do this? You need to be able to explain that in a very defined sort of way versus saying, oh, well, let me call my broker and see. As soon as you do that, you're stuck because you're not firm. You're not confident in the fact that you are worth what you're getting paid. So it's essential that you've got that information and you know how you're going to explain it when it happens. It's important to educate buyers and sellers about commission, but do not understand it, and always make it. Always make a practice of asking this question. Do you understand how compensation for services and buying and selling a home works? And then taking time to explain it. You can read through these, but it really is a time-money correlation discussion, and there are different ways of that I put in here as to how to explain it over the next couple pages. And then we move on to Dare to Be Great. This is a flyer that I put together. We used to have a Dare, what we call Dare to Be Great group, which has kind of evolved into AHA. And this is just an example of how to be focused, how to focus on creating unbelievable success every day. You got your sphere of influence, you got your farming, you got your for sale by owners, you got expireds, you got open houses, and then implementing social media, broken down into daily, weekly, monthly, make them activities you'll do no matter what. And then 2 analogies, remember this whole spider web networking, just casting it out and bringing things into attracting people into the web and then plowing the field. That's the geographic farming, that's the prospecting of your sphere of influence. Okay, watching the time here. Last couple things, last couple pages you've got here. Process is simple. You need to own your performance. You got to make corrections. If it's not working, you got to figure out what's not working. You got to make the corrections, and then you got to get back to work. Having a plan, and if it's not working, now sometimes the plan is going to take longer. So you got to understand it's going to take longer for it to really happen. Other things that you think should be happening sooner, if they're not, well, you got to own. Have I done it the best I could? If I haven't, what do I do to make the corrections? And then finally, I got to get back to work, and that's where the daily activities come in. I got to get back into it. I can't sit around and wait. And being focused and being prideful of what you do, ultimately will equal success. And then the last page is for you to spend time on number of listings that you expect. This should say number of listings you expect in 2019. I missed that. Number of listings that you expect in 2000. You think about your business. How many listings do you expect that you'll get in 2019? Will all of them sell? Probably not. Okay, so is it going to be 8 out of 10? What is the case? How many listings will sell? And then how many buyers am I going to work with that are going to buy properties? And then what you're going to do is you're going to add number 2 and 3, and you're going to come up with a total number of properties sold. So you may say, I'd like to have a listing sell every month. Well, that's 12. And I want to have, because